pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pauletta Price.
Here.
John Crean.
Here.
Scott Latham. Thomas Grattan.
Here.
Brian Tobin.
Here.
In the event of an emergency, visitors are advised that they may exit this room from the one side door which leads directly into the parking lot. In the event of an emergency, everyone is asked to move away from the building and do not attempt to leave in your automobiles, since this may cause traffic problems and block incoming emergency vehicles.
Thank you. Welcome to our February regular meeting. It's a little early this month because of the week out from school. And let me introduce Kate Klipstein, who is substituting because basketball games every Wednesday night are conflicting with board meetings. Well, welcome at the end of the meeting. We'll welcome you to say a few words. Or as many words as you want. Except Mr. Grattan's got to get somewhere, so we have to. Okay, that brings us to our first hearing of visitors, and obviously nobody wants to address the board about agenda items because nobody here. We're all down at the gym, I guess. That brings us to our consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of our regular board meeting of January 24th, our financial matters, which includes the schedule of, oh no, not the schedule of bills, that'll be next month. Treasury report next month. The monthly budget status report, transfers, no extra classroom activity fund, and some contracts for the pit orchestra for the show, New Suffolk 2023-2024 contract, and out-of-district for health services. And we are surplusing a copy machine and some CSEs. Are there any questions on the consent agenda? Is there a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Old business. Do you have any old business, anybody? I don't think so. That brings us to Dr. Morrow and the superintendent's report.
So, I put together a couple slides to make it, excuse me? I'll come get it from you. Easier to stand. Is it on?
Yeah, you just gotta put it over.
Oh, it's over there, okay. Thank you. Excuse me?
Over here.
Oh, that's where the clicker is. All right. Here we go. So, our goals this year included a few different things. One of them that I said I'd be reporting out on through the year is the use of learning targets in classes. Kate, you might actually be able to comment on this later. And we have different administrators that go in, not part of our formal observation process. So the numbers are actually even higher than this, but those are not included in here because it's not part of our agreed upon evaluation plan. But when we go in, we identify whether learning targets are present. So in the 65 visits that are in this chart, we have probably about 20 more now that will be updated at the end of the week. It was, and we're looking for 75% or above. We had 52 of the 65 times learning targets were present and clear and explained to kids. That is an 80% number. And the reality is that this should never be 100. You're doing a skills lesson. There's not really a target for that. You're reviewing for an exam. There are times where you go in to classes and having a learning target that you introduce and revisit is not really appropriate for a lesson. So
Is this, I'm sorry, is this 7th through 12th or K through 12?
This is K through 12.
Okay.
Yeah, K
Thank
through
you.
12. When I present at the end of the year, it'll be a lot more thorough, and it will tell you whether it was a high-quality learning target, whether it was introduced, reintroduced, revisited, what domain it comes from. It'll be a lot more thorough than this. This is just the reporting out. A couple times during the year that I report out, it'll tell you how many times we've been and looked and exactly how often we saw it. And the fact that it's present at an 80% rate this early in the year is a really nice thing to see. And it's interesting in your conversations with teachers that you see it. Do you see them present in your classes typically?
I do, almost every single classroom, I see them.
And are they, I hate to put you on the spot.
No, that's all right.
Are they part of conversation with students?
They're not as much of a conversation piece, but it's more of something that the student can look up on the board and just plan their class period accordingly, so to kind of prepare them for what they're about to learn. It's a nice thing.
Yeah, And then I can tell you that just from being
Who
in
comes up
class.
with the targets? Is it the teachers or these state guys? You know, I'm just
The
curious.
learning targets are developed by the teachers. They are developed in conjunction, to be a high-quality learning target, it has to be in conjunction with the curriculum, the goals that are set, by the state, what we are supposed to be teaching, and then it's at the level of the student. So there's a lot of criteria for that, but yes, the teacher comes up with them. And then there is conversation and connection with kids.
I can give an example if you'd like.
Yeah,
Like
definitely.
in my AP calculus class, it'd be like, today we're able to evaluate integrals effectively and like study the way that they change throughout the grade.
Okay.
Tate, do you notice that's a different, I know you're a senior this year as compared to years past not having those learning targets in the classes?
I think obviously the material you learn is the same, but it's a nice way to prepare the student for each class period and just get them situated and understanding and ready for whatever they're about to learn.
Glad you're here tonight.
Yeah, no.
So that is learning targets for now.
My name's Flynn, by the way.
Oh,
Oh, Flynn.
That's what I thought, but
It's all right.
Well, I know you're the last one. My apologies.
It's all right.
And I had him in CCD a million years ago. I'm sorry, Flynn.
Oh, it's okay.
Tate was the one that's in college, and your other brother's done with school, sorry.
So we have two budget presentations coming up. We are still in progress of doing the first run. Right now, we're looking like we're going to be approximately $800,000 to $1 million short in our first run. We will continue to look at everything we do. We have a lot of local legislators and state legislators that are working on trying to restore the foundation aid, especially for this year. They're in conversations about if you need to eliminate foundation aid, you need to really smooth it over a number of years. It can't be done. What you've been doing for 15 years can't be eliminated in 1 year. It's just too big of a hit. Our 480,000, even though we got aid in some other areas that lowers that into the threes, it's still $480,000 difference that they're giving us. So there's a lot of that going on, and we think there might be some changes in there. And again, we're going to continue to work to make sure we keep everything that we have. That is our goal. Again, this is pre-first run. When Chuck presents at the first budget meeting in February, he'll give you that exact number, he'll give you reasons for it. But anybody who lives in this world sees that prices are going up exponentially, anywhere from 5 to 15% in our fixed costs, things that we don't have a choice in. Healthcare, retirement systems, all these different things. That's hard to fit into a 2% tax cap. And that's why even with our increase, our tax cap and our allowable increases, which put us, in the high twos, it doesn't get close to the actual increases that we've had in these different areas. And, he'll go more in depth with that, but this is just a quick where we're at right now in the budget.
Are there any retirements this year?
Excuse me?
Are there any
We do.
retirements? We
Yeah, we have
do.
a couple. And again, we'll utilize, like all of that, the first budget is a rollover. So the elimination of the $50,000, $60,000 that you save on a teacher that retires when you hire a new teacher, that doesn't come in till like the second run. Once we, I believe that we will work very hard to make sure we keep everything, and I believe that we'll be successful in doing it.
Are we doing a rollover budget, or are we doing a zero-based budget?
We do a rollover budget.
Shouldn't, maybe it's time, because I know once upon a time, we did zero-based every few years to start like with zero, and this is what the actual costs are instead of just rolling it over. And I just think that it might be, if we haven't done that in a few years, it might be just a little more accurate as to,
It's too late in the
you know what,
process
do you
for this
understand the
year to do
difference
it.
in the two? It's like a zero-based is, you start with zero, and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you this, whether you go zero-based or rollover, our largest factors, our largest drivers, salaries, health insurance, all those types of things, there's no, they're gonna be what they're gonna be. We can certainly look to do a zero-based budget, but at this point, it's too late in the budget
Yeah,
process to
okay.
do that, because it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
It's not bad work, but we just have to decide that over the summer if we want to do it, because we really need to start doing that in like October.
we used to do it fairly regularly, like at least every few years, just to kind of clear the slate and start with,
We can certainly, I'll make a note, and we can certainly look to do that. And again, like I said, we're going to work to continue we're going to continue to work to keep everything we have. And I believe that we'll be successful in that. It's just going to take some work. And then I just wanted to mention a number of the activities that are going on. We have a concert tomorrow night. Our robotics team here is in the middle of build season, working every night. Basketball is playing now. We just had 2 senior nights today, 3 senior nights. Cheerleading, basketball, girls and boys. And then our cheerleading team is leaving tomorrow to compete in nationals down in Florida. We've had 2 of our winter track athletes qualify for nationals. 3 qualify for states. We had our talent show from the elementary school here. We had our elementary concert a couple weeks ago. So there's really a lot going on. And Tate's going to talk about more specific high school stuff. Flynn.
No.
Flynn's going to
That's
talk
all
more
right.
about specific stuff to high school, so I'm not going to go into any of that. But it's nice to see all the different activities on. It's busy school, and it's nice when schools are busy and there's a lot going on. So if you have opportunities, come down and enjoy.
Thank you, Dr. Morrow. That brings us to personnel. We have a few things. A few superintendent's recommendations: entering the district full-time permanent, Jeremy Miller as a custodial worker, Norika Yakil Campos Blaze as a teacher aide. These are replacements for people that have retired, I believe. And then we have some part-time temporaries, coaching spring boys varsity baseball assistant Gordon Cox, junior high girls track John Palmieri, junior high boys track Art Davis. Spring esports advisors is split between Jason Wesnowski and David Barrett. And we have substitute custodians Brian Petty and Kenneth Mons. Is there a motion to accept the recommendations?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Finance committee report?
Nothing.
Building committee report?
Nothing.
Policy committee report, we had the first read at the last meeting, so this is for adoption. Policy 8130, workplace violence prevention policy statement. Is there a motion to move that policy?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. New business. Dr. Moore, you want to take this one on?
Sure. So we've had some communication with some parents, and they've sent us some articles and material about districts that are regulating or banning cell phones. And, they wanted to know what a process for doing something like that would be. So, to me, gathering information and putting together a group of all our constituent groups, including the people that would be most affected by having cell phones banned, would be really the process that you go through, looking at how they affect Southold. There are districts that have such a profound effect with cell phones in school that it takes hundreds of hours of discipline and dealing with it. And so how does it affect us? And so I decided that, maybe putting it on here and suggesting it as, putting together a group, we can put a call out to teachers and administrators and students and parents and board members and see if we want to gather some information, share all that information about specific to Southold and also about the research on these types of things, because there's research that goes both ways, on it. And then we can have, a relevant conversation with that group about, whether this is something that would benefit our community. We do, in some cases, do these things already. I observed teachers this year where when you walk into the room, your phone goes into a sleeve by the door. There's a calculator sleeve for 20, it has usually 24 sections, pockets in it. You put your cell phone in, you go about your business during your class. I've also observed classes where teachers say, everybody take out your cell phone because I want you to answer this question, and they utilize their cell phone to respond to things, and the data comes right up on their new line in front. So I've observed.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Don't they have Chromebooks that they could utilize for that and not phones necessarily?
They-
For a
they-
kid that may have forgotten their phone or?
For certain kids, yeah. Some kids don't carry Chromebooks around with them every day. We do have some kids that actually don't take a school Chromebook. They utilize their home computer when they're at home. As much as, like, there are certain classes where you need to have a Chromebook because the teacher uses it in
What
class.
policies do we have now?
We have no policy against cell phones. We have
Do we have
policies.
policies at all, just
We have,
about?
we have policies that basically say you can't utilize them in ways that create problems in school and things like that.
Like cameras in
Yeah.
restrooms and locker
Yeah.
rooms and stuff.
So
like that.
I looked
Really,
through them,
loose
none of
sort a-
them, yeah.
Nothing's really firm.
No, nothing that says you can't use them, nothing that says when they can and can't be. They can't be used in a way that is detrimental to the students and harmful to the educational process, is kind of the way our policies read. So,
And I guess it's going to be very, do you have a feeling for what the administrators, other than yourself, the teachers think, or what, have they identified problems?
I don't,
All right.
I don't. I know that we've had conversations about it at times, and there's mixed feelings. Even for me, there's mixed
Always,
feelings,
yeah.
you know.
Well, I will say,
yeah.
I go to some medical conferences now where you, in real time, are answering
Yeah.
questions.
And our teachers do that, yeah.
And, at first it was foreign to me, but it's actually can be very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, majority think this, and,
Yep.
so I don't know if there's any policy that's gonna make everybody happy, obviously. Well, there never is.
Is there a
No.
large abuse going on now with it, or?
None, no, there really isn't. We don't have that extent here,
Right.
at least in speaking briefly with, Steve and Terrence. They do not feel that they spend a tremendous amount of time dealing with phone issues, you know. I
How do
mean,
the teachers feel in general?
I don't know, because we haven't really,
I'd be interested to see
Yeah.
what you say, all of the different groups think about it.
As
Yeah.
far as I can tell, so far, we've received
It's not a bad thought.
a long.
I think that's what he's saying.
email
He's
from
gonna-
one
Well, he was
family.
talking about a
Yeah.
committee, but
One
I
family?
think that's,
we had a parent,
Almost.
we had one family that emailed all of us. We have had people bring it up in the past. It's not been an extensive group, but it is an interesting topic.
Tom had a suggestion. I kind of in the
Yeah,
way.
maybe put out a questionnaire to
Could
all
be,
the
yeah,
teachers and,
Yeah,
you know.
so that would be a function, I believe, of that group, would be to put together, the truth is, I think a questionnaire to teachers, students, parents, all would be very appropriate,
Yep. Nothing
um,
crazy, you know.
yeah, but I think that coming from a group, the nice part about having a group that has all the different constituent groups, like, I can't think like he can,
Right.
I can't.
Right.
I think I can at times, but I really can't.
Nor
because,
should you. Nor should
Yeah, like, I'm not.
If we all thought the same way,
Yes,
that'd be a big problem.
even my kids, I have a 22 and a 23-year-old, and I watch them on their phones, and I'll say, could you please put that away? And they'll look at me like, why? And it's a different, we have different, they can't think like me. So my input is also valuable. They don't think like a parent, so their input is valuable. They don't think like a teacher, because their input is value. So I think that putting together like a survey, and we used a lot of surveys during the pandemic. We've moved away from it a little bit because we saw our response rate going down because people were a little surveyed out.
Right,
But,
understandable.
Yeah, like I just put a survey out to the superintendents about music and things like that to gather information. So they're very useful, but, that to me would be a function that group would come up with, and which groups you want to put it out to, what questions do we want to ask, what gives us the correct information about what's best for Southold.
Right.
I do believe there's benefit and there's negative to both, I used to bring my kids camping in Lake George, and one of the places we went to, there was no cell phone reception. And we had 14 nephews and
The
nieces.
village of Southold.
Yeah. And they had to talk. They had to enjoy themselves, and there was great benefit to that, I've seen them with their phones where they also enjoy each other's company, and so I think there's positive.
I'm just not crazy about the word ban, because ban brings out,
Yeah.
I think we have,
that's where we're
I don't
going.
think we should
Yeah.
go with that word at all, because
Yeah.
ban
That's
is
not the
just,
direction we're heading.
exactly. So I think we want to remove the word
Yeah, I
ban
don't
from the
think that's-
conversation.
Okay,
I think cell phone use
Restriction.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Restrictions.
yeah,
Flynn,
I think what Dr. Morrow was discussing before about the calculator sleeves would be a little bit more beneficial if more teachers utilize those.
every classroom has one, I understand, right?
I believe so. From maybe not every, but from most I've seen, they do have them. But from what I've noticed as a student is, while there isn't an abuse of technology in terms of like the academic standards, there's definitely an excess use of them. So, I mean, I know I'm personally distracted a lot of times when I'm doing homework just by it, and I'm trying to cut down on street time and prepare for when I go to college and be more efficient with my work. But I do think they do have a place, and especially for communication with students and their friends and their parents and whatever they must do throughout the school day is definitely important. But I do think advocating for a little bit, not restrictions, but, you know, put the phone down for a little while.
Within the classroom.
Cool down.
Yeah, within the classroom, at least.
I think that sounds somewhat reasonable,
Yeah.
I would think. But- So maybe put together a
You
committee.
think most kids would feel that way?
I think as much as it's not something we want to do, where it's not going to make everyone happy, it would probably be the most beneficial.
I think because you're also a mature senior, your view on it's probably a little bit different than maybe an underclassman's view
I
on
do
it.
believe so. I think a lot of people will say it's fine, and to some extent it is, and it's not all being abused, but I do think it would be a little beneficial to just cut back a little bit.
It's interesting.
That's the downside, right?
Yeah.
Put that kid on the committee.
Yeah. So I'll talk to Terrence and Ellen about putting together
Okay.
a group.
Is there, because I did speak with Terrence and Steve a little bit about their thoughts and all of that, and then I asked about, like, the elementary, because we all think in the junior, senior high school,
Yeah.
or how prevalent are the cell phones used in the elementary? I really don't know, I'm clueless, and I think that would be a real interesting perspective to see.
Yeah,
I think it
From-
starts in sixth grade. Sixth grade is your big grade where it really starts.
yeah.
I would venture to guess that, I don't know,
My kids got it.
yeah, I don't know how often they're
It's
out.
great. I think most parents give their kids a cell phone
It was 6
when they get going into middle
Six.
school, when they
Yeah.
start playing sports. And
Yeah.
they're
For
gonna
the
be-
pickups and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, for pickups.
That's definitely one of those for me. 7th grade, me and my whole family, when we got 6th grade graduation, we got our phone that day. But I think it's starting to become more prevalent in elementary school
So it'll be,
in the more
it's a
recent
good
years.
addition to the conversation.
No
Yeah.
kidding when they're using them yet, are they?
Hope not.
I don't think he's that close.
I'll tell
to
you
it.
what, nothing surprises
Me
me.
neither.
So
Okay,
I'll
so we'll look
organize it.
forward to, thank you.
Yep.
I guess our second hearing of visitors will be about the same as the first hearing of visitors. So that brings us to our board member commentary. Okay, Flynn, again, my apologies, I'm never gonna live this one down. But all these siblings that return, and it confuses me. So this is where you get to tell us what's happening in the school.
Happening in the school. All right, it's a very exciting time of the year. We have our winter sports slowing down, so some are done, some are not. Like you said, we had the senior night games tonight. The track season is over for most people. Cheers going to nationals, as you know. Bowling is actually at a tournament today. They're probably coming back from that right about now, so that's very exciting. We have our small ensembles concert, which is our select choir, our chamber orchestra, and our jazz band tomorrow, which is going to be very exciting. I'm really excited to hear our chamber orchestra with the new addition of Mr. Fujita. I know you guys call him Will. That's very exciting. Friday, we have our semi-formal dance, which I hope it's going to be a great time. It's going to be fun to get everyone together and have a great school event.
It's here at the school?
It is. It's in the gymnasium.
Okay.
Yes, and ROTC, our NJROTC unit, is preparing for nationals in orienteering and I believe brain brawl, which is kind of a trivia sort of competition. And yeah, I think everyone's excited for the new semester. They're getting their new classes, they're getting adjusted, so everyone's kind of settling in still, but it's a very exciting time of the year.
Thank you for your attendance tonight and bringing us up to speed on all of that. I know you're involved in probably most everything you just mentioned, so you have an
Mostly, yeah.
idea of what's going on. Dr. Cream?
Well, I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm a little worried about those numbers. But sometimes you see that early on. It'd be wonderful to keep all the programs we have. Hopefully going forward, we can figure out more ways to share with our neighbors, I think that's really going to be really important going forward. And it's always good to hear all the things that the younger folks are up to. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Grattan?
No, I just welcome Flynn. You did a nice job tonight.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Then I won't have to say a whole lot.
Thank you. Mr. Tobin?
No.
I'm going to just mention our upcoming meetings. Our budget meeting will be March 6th. Our budget meeting following that will be March 13th, and then our regular board meeting will be March 27th. And maybe as we get further information, we can get information to the community to hound the legislators up there in Albany to act on perhaps not just our behalf at the school, but the taxpayers' behalf. If they don't know what's going on, we can't expect them to write letters or call or to show up in Albany and plead our case for us. So maybe we need to start some kind of campaign, because like Dr. Green said, I'm real nervous about these numbers. I have to tell you, I haven't seen that kind of, at this point in the budget season, in many, ever. So I know it'll all come out okay, because it generally does, but it's a little nervous because we don't want to ever cut programs. So if we can do things through attrition and through sharing and those other things, it benefits everybody. And I think it actually benefits the students most of all, personally. And again, I think Flynn has mentioned everything. Tomorrow night is this small ensemble, which is always a nice one to attend. And I guess we will be here throughout the month of March, so see you then. Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?